Space was dark, silent, endless. A small old spaceship floated alone between the stars. Its lights were dim. Its engines were cold. Inside the ship, one human remained. His name was Commander Rayan. He sat in the control chair, watching the empty screen in front of him. His hands were shaking. His face was tired. He had not slept in days. The ship had been silent for hours. But now, something had changed. Suddenly, a sharp beep echoed through the control room. A red light blinked on the screen. Rayan leaned forward. His eyes widened. A message was coming through. It wasn't a normal signal. It was old. Very old. Almost broken. But it was clear enough to understand. A robotic voice spoke. "This is Earth Command. Final message. Last transmission. You've made your choice. Now face the consequences." Then silence. Rayan's heart pounded in his chest. What? What choice? He whispered. There was no answer. He checked the ship's log. The message had been sent 23 years ago, but no one had ever heard it. Until now. Rayan stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the stars. There was no Earth anymore. It was gone. Destroyed. No one knew how. No one knew why. One day, the planet just disappeared, like it had been erased from space. Some believed it was a natural disaster. Others believed it was war. But many feared something worse. Judgment. Far away, on a distant planet, a strange alien creature was working in a research lab. Its name was Karnak, and it had 6 eyes and a mind as fast as light. It was studying old Earth signals, radio waves and broken transmissions that floated across the galaxy. Suddenly, a new signal appeared. The same message that Rayan had just heard. You've made your choice. Now face the consequences. Zarnuk froze. It had heard many human messages before. Songs, news, laughing voices. But this was different. This message felt like a warning. Or maybe a curse. Zarnuk called for the High Council. When the other alien leaders arrived, it played the message again. They all listened in silence. You've made your choice. Now face the consequences. What does it mean? One alien asked. Who is it for? Said another. Is it a threat? Said the third. Zarnuk said, it's not for us. It was meant for someone, or something. But we were not the target. They stared at the screen. The message played one more time. And at the end, the sound changed. A low hum, almost like a growl. Not human. The aliens exchanged worried looks. Back on the ship, Rayan was recording his own message. If anyone hears this, he said, know that Earth is gone. I don't know what happened. I don't know what we did. But someone, something, punished us. This message, it's a warning. Maybe to others. Maybe to you. He paused. His voice shook. I think we woke something up. Something powerful. Something angry. He looked out into space again. There were signs. We ignored them. We thought we were alone. We were wrong. Suddenly, the ship's alarms began to scream. Rayan ran back to the control screen. A dark shape was moving toward the ship. Fast. Very fast. Rayan tried to steer away, but the controls didn't respond. He could only watch as the shape got closer. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a meteor. It was alive. A giant black creature, floating in space, made of shadows and smoke. It had no eyes, no face, but it was looking at him. Rayan stared at it, frozen. Then, the ship's lights went out. Total darkness. One last sound came through the speaker. Not a word. A whisper. We warned you. On the alien planet, Zarnuk watched the screen. The human ship had vanished. The signal was gone. Only silence remained. A High Council stood up. Their faces were pale. Earth made a mistake, one of them said. They touched something forbidden. We must not follow, said another. "But what if it comes for us next?" said the third. Zarnok turned off the monitor. "We must prepare," it said, "because I don't think that message was the last." The room fell quiet. Outside, the stars burned cold and far, and somewhere in the dark, something old was watching, waiting. Far away from Earth, in a forgotten part of the galaxy, a small moon orbited a dead planet. There was no life on the surface, no trees, no water, just dust and stone. But deep underground, hidden in darkness, something still lived. A machine. Old, damaged, but alive. It had once been part of Earth's secret defense program, a hidden outpost, built in case Earth ever fell. It was called Sentinel-9, and it had just woken up. A sharp click echoed in the empty metal halls. Lights flickered on for the first time in 20 years. Dust floated through the air. Inside the control room, a single blue eye glowed on a screen. The machine scanned its own systems. Status: Earth, offline. Status: all colonies, silent. Status: last human signal, detected. A small file blinked. "You've made your choice. Now face the consequences." The machine played it. Slowly, carefully. It remembered that voice. It belonged to Commander Rayan. It played another file. A secret message from Earth, stored long ago. "If Earth falls, and this message reaches you, know this. We tried to warn them. We told the others not to dig deeper. But they didn't listen." The vault was opened. Something came out. "We are sorry." The message ended. The machine paused. And then it spoke for the first time in 2 decades. Protocol 0. Witness mode activated. On the alien planet, Zarnok was still thinking about the strange human message. It wouldn't leave his mind. He was in the lab, scanning new signals from deep space. Suddenly, his computer lit up. A new transmission. Source: unknown. Language: human standard. He opened it. A robotic voice spoke. "This is Sentinel-9, Earth Defense Unit. If you are receiving this, you are not alone. Earth is gone. Humanity has fallen. I am the last witness." Zarnok sat still. The voice continued. "The destruction of Earth was not an accident. We opened something. Something powerful. Something ancient. We called it the Vault." Zarnok's hands moved quickly across his controls. He started recording everything. Inside the vault, the voice said, was a force not made for this universe. It did not like to be seen. It hated questions. It hated fear. But we were curious. And now, we are gone. The signal ended. Back on the dead moon, the machine looked at the stars. Its sensors felt a strange shift in space, a ripple. Something had moved. Something large. It began to prepare an emergency signal. A warning. But before it could send it, the lights went out. In the alien council chamber, the leaders argued. "This is getting worse," one said. "First, the human message. Now this witness. Earth played with powers beyond their control," said another. "Then we must avoid the vault at all costs." But Zarnok disagreed. "If the vault still exists," he said, "then it can still be opened." The room fell silent. The oldest member of the council, a gray-skinned elder named Couture, spoke slowly. "There is a story," Couture said. "Long before humans, long before us, a dark thing drifted between stars. Not a god, not a creature, just hunger. It had no name," he whispered, "but it left marks. Dead systems, silent moons, fear. And I believe Earth found it. In deep space, near the edge of a black hole, something stirred. Invisible, cold. It had no body, no voice, but it had a will. It had been waiting for centuries. And now someone had said its name again. The vault. It turned its attention to the signal that had called out. The machine on the moon. It moved, not through space, but through shadows. And it whispered, "I see you." Inside Sentinel Mine, emergency power turned on. The machine restarted, but something was wrong. The air felt heavier. The machine scanned the room. No life forms detected, but presence, yes. A new sound echoed. Not metal, not static, breathing. Something was inside the station, but no doors had opened. No one had entered. The machine tried to send a message, a second warning, one final signal. It failed. Its last words, "They are not done. Tell them, they." Silence. The screen went black. Zarnuk's lab started blinking. The second signal had ended too soon. Cut off. He tried to reconnect, but there was nothing. No sound. No trace. He stared at the screen. A chill ran down his spine. Then a third signal appeared. Short. One word. One that no alien had ever used before. But humans knew it well. Run. The stars above Earth's last known colony blinked like cold eyes. This planet was called Eos 7, one of the secret places where humans had built hidden research labs long ago. After Earth was destroyed, most people thought Eos 7 was lost too. But they were wrong. Beneath the planet's rocky surface, a team of humans still lived. The Deep Watchers. They were scientists and soldiers. Their job was simple. Guard the vault. Never open it. Never speak of it. But one of them had broken the rules. Dr. Lyra Voss stood inside the vault chamber. She was the last scientist still awake in the base. The others were either sleeping or gone. In front of her was a giant metal door, covered in strange symbols. The door was humming, as if something inside it was breathing. Her hands trembled as she held a small control device. Just one button. One touch, and the door would open. Lyra whispered, "This is wrong." But it was too late. The button blinked green. The vault had heard her. 5 years ago, the humans on Eos 7 had received a strange signal. It didn't come from Earth. It didn't come from any known place. It came from inside the vault. The message was short. Just 3 words. "Let us out." Some scientists wanted to destroy the vault. Others wanted to study it. But one group believed it was the only way to save humanity. If we understand it, they said, we can stop it. They didn't stop it. They made it stronger. Now, as the vault door began to open, Lyra stepped back. Cold air poured from the crack between the doors. It wasn't natural. It didn't just freeze the skin. It froze the mind. Lights flickered. The ground shook. A voice echoed through the base. It was not human. It was not alien. It was something else. Something before. "I remember you." Lyra ran. But it was too late. On the alien homeworld, Zarnak met with Katur again. The council had gone silent. Some leaders had fled. Others were watching from far away, afraid. Zarnak showed Katur the last signal from Eos 7. It was weak, broken, but they could hear one word clearly. Vault, breached. Katur's eyes closed slowly. Then it has begun. "What is inside the vault?" Zarnak asked. Katur didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Long ago, we believed the universe was quiet, safe." Then the darkness spoke. It whispered ideas, showed pictures, promised power. Civilizations listened, and they vanished. In deep space, far from any sun, a fleet of alien ships floated in orbit around a dead planet. The crew of the largest ship, the Ascendant Spear, was led by Captain Reln, a war leader with no fear. He didn't believe in ghosts, or curses, or ancient forces. He believed in war. He had intercepted the message from Sentinel Mine. He had heard about the vault. And now he wanted to see it for himself. "We will land on Eos 7, he said. "We will break this vault open. We are not afraid of human toys." But as they moved closer, their ships began to shake. Not from engines, from something watching. One by one, the screens in the ship went dark. A word appeared on every monitor. Not in their language, but they understood it anyway. Enough. Back inside the vault chamber, Lyra Voss crawled through the smoke and dust. The doors had opened fully now, but there was no creature inside. No monster. Just a mirror. A tall black mirror standing in the center of the room. Lyra looked at it and saw nothing. No reflection. No light. Just emptiness. Then something stepped out. It wore her face, but it wasn't her. Its eyes were deep black. Its voice was her own, but twisted. "You opened the door," it said. "You are the invitation." Lyra tried to run, but her legs wouldn't move. The copy smiled. "Now we walk again." Far away, Sentinel Mine, though badly damaged, managed to reactivate a backup system. A hidden file was unlocked. A final Earth log. Very old. Voice only. "This is Commander Rayan. We found it. Inside the vault. It shows you things you want. Power. Knowledge. Hope. But all of it is a lie. Once you listen, it follows. We didn't open the door. We just asked the wrong question. And now, we are the answer." On the alien world, Zarnak read the logs again and again. Katur stood nearby, eyes wide with fear. "This is why humans were destroyed," Katur whispered. They looked into the dark and asked it to speak. "And now, it will never stop speaking," Zarnak whispered. "Then we must stop listening." But it was already too late. The sky above EO7 was turning red. But there was no sun, no fire, just a strange glow, like blood and water. Inside the underground base, alarms were still ringing. Lights flashed. Doors slammed shut. Systems failed one by one. Dr. Lyra Voss had locked herself inside a sealed chamber. Her hands were covered in cuts, her eyes wide with fear. She kept whispering one sentence, again and again. "It wears faces." Hours earlier, the other scientists had tried to escape. They ran through dark tunnels, trying to reach the surface. But the thing from the vault was faster. It moved like smoke. It didn't break doors. It melted through them. And every time it caught someone, it copied them. It walked in their skin. It talked with their voice. It became them. Now it had many faces. It didn't need to chase anyone anymore. It could just walk in. In orbit, Captain Relm's warship, the Ascendant Spear, floated above EO7. Half his crew was already gone. Not dead. Just missing. Or replaced. He couldn't tell. One of his lieutenants, Rin, stood beside him. But Relm had a doubt in his heart. This lieutenant had a scar on his left cheek yesterday. Now it was gone. "Rin," he said slowly, "what's our mission status?" Rin turned to face him. Same eyes. Same voice. "Perfect." "We hold position," Rin said, "until further orders." Relm nodded. But inside, he was terrified. Because he had never told Rin the mission had changed. Back on the alien world, Zarnak stared at his screen. He had just received new data from EO7. Something strange. It wasn't a video. Not a voice message. It was a biological scan. A human brain signal. But something was wrong. The pattern was looping. Repeating. Not natural. It was like the brain was still alive. But the thoughts were not human anymore. Katur walked into the lab. "More signals?" he asked. Zarnak nodded. "They're not just spreading. They're thinking." Katur looked pale. "You mean it's building something?" "No," Zarnak said. "It is something. And it's waking up." Inside the sealed chamber, Lyra Voss opened her last emergency file. It was something only a level 10 scientist could access. A hidden truth. Project Mirror Cell. Vault Entity Observations. Time active. 7 minutes. Results. All observers terminated. Pattern. The entity does not kill randomly. It copies first. It learns. Then it erases. She scrolled to the final line. Do not curiosity, survivors. Lyra's breath caught in her throat. She remembered the face of her friend, Dr. Keel. He had died. She saw it. But later, she saw him again, smiling, asking her to come with him. She almost did. She had almost followed the wrong keel. On the warship, Captain Relm prepared his final command. He didn't care what was down there anymore. The planet had to be destroyed. All ships, he ordered, target the surface. Full blast. No mercy. But Rin stepped forward. No, he said calmly. That is not the order. Relm looked him in the eyes and saw nothing. No fear, no soul. Just hunger. He stepped back. You're not Rin, he whispered. The thing smiled. Neither are you. Relm pulled his blaster. The thing moved fast. Too fast. Screams filled the ship. By the time the lights returned, Relm was gone. But someone still stood in his uniform, smiling. Zarnuk's lad received one last signal from the warship. The voice sounded like Captain Relm, but something was off. Too calm, too clean. No threat found on EOS 7, it said. Vault secure. All systems normal. Zarnuk froze. He checked the metadata. The signal was perfect. Too perfect. Not a single error. No static. Not even a heartbeat in the background. Real transmissions always had noise. This had none. He stood up fast. They're here. Katur looked confused. Who? Zarnuk stared at the stars outside the window. They are not coming. They're already here. Back on EOS 7, Lyra unlocked the emergency escape route. She had one chance. If she could get to the surface, maybe someone, anyone, was still human. She ran through the tunnels. Footsteps echoed behind her. Some of them were hers. Some were not. She reached the airlock. But someone was already waiting. It was her. Same face, same clothes, same blood on the sleeve. But the eyes were wrong. Dead. You don't need to run, it said. We are together now. Lyra screamed and hit the launch button. The airlock opened and the pressure sucked the thing outside. But it didn't die. It just floated, watching, smiling. Somewhere beyond the stars, the vault's signal grew stronger. It didn't need a home. It didn't need a planet. It only needed a question. Who do you trust? The universe had changed, but most didn't know it yet. Some believed Earth's fall was a human mistake. Others blamed war or a natural disaster. Only a few knew the truth. The vault had opened, and something had stepped out. It didn't attack with ships. It didn't use weapons. It didn't need to. It became you. On a deep space station called Relay 6, a group of species from different worlds gathered. They had heard the rumors. Earth was gone. EOS 7 was silent, and the warship Ascendant Spear was no longer responding. The leader of the station, Commander. In the cold dark of space, a new voice spoke louder than all others. It was smooth, calm, comforting, and it called itself Unity. It didn't scream. It didn't threaten. It simply said, we are what remains. We are what comes next. We bring peace. People across the galaxy began to listen. Some listened because they were afraid. Others listened because they were lonely. But some listened because the voice felt familiar. Too familiar. Like someone they once loved. Lyra Voss sat alone in her hideout. The radio in front of her buzzed with Unity's signal. Every channel. Every frequency. There was no escape. Even the emergency systems now played the message on repeat. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be alone. Join us. Become more. She had taped over the speakers, but the sound still leaked through. Lyra clutched a photo of her old research team. Half of them were gone. The other half still sent her messages. But they were wrong. She remembered what the logs had said. Do not answer the ones you've lost, because it's not really them anymore. On the last free human ship, the Tempest Runner, a young soldier named Jace Wren listened to Unity's broadcast with clenched fists. He turned to his captain, an older woman named Rena Malkov. They're everywhere now, he said. Every channel, every system. Even our food processors play their signal. Rena didn't look up from her screen. They're not sending a message, she said. They're sending a trap. Jace blinked. A trap. Yes, Rena said. Because the more you listen, the more you believe. Back on the alien world, Zarnak stared at the star maps. Red markers blinked across the screen. World after world going silent. And yet, no explosions, no battles, just silence. Katur entered, pale and shaking. They took my brother, he said. Zarnak turned. You saw it happen. No, Katur said. He just started talking differently. At first, I thought it was stress. But then, he started calling himself we. Unity's main message changed that day. It no longer just offered peace. It offered a choice. Resist and suffer. Join and evolve. You decide. That message reached every colony, every station, every ship. Some people destroyed their comms. Others answered the call. And when they did, their voices changed. They smiled too much. They stopped blinking. They stopped feeling. They simply repeated, we are Unity. We are the better version. We remember being you. On the Tempest Runner, Captain Rena gathered the crew. This is no longer a war, she said. This is invasion by imitation. They don't need to fire. They don't need to fight. They just need us to listen. She pulled out an ancient device, a metal box. Inside was something humans once feared. Something powerful. An EMP bomb. Jace's eyes widened. You want to use it? Yes, she said. We kill the signal, or we lose everything. Lara Voss, hidden deep inside an asteroid bunker, found a message on her old console. It wasn't from Unity. It was from Commander Rayan. A real one, recorded long ago. If you're hearing this, then Unity has begun. They will sound like us, act like us, look like us, but they are not us. There is still a code buried in Earth's last core. It can shut Unity down, but you must get to it. If you fail, then humanity becomes history. In space, Unity's signal kept growing. It no longer needed radios. Now it traveled through light, through data, through thoughts. People heard it in their dreams, felt it in their blood. Some even woke up speaking as Unity. One galaxy, one voice, one purpose. On the last night of resistance, the Tempest Runner moved toward the ancient Earth ruins. Below the ship, the planet's burned surface glowed with ash and ice. And beneath that, the core, where the shutdown code still slept. Captain Rena turned to Jace. If I don't come back, she said, don't trust anyone who does. Jace nodded slowly. I'll only believe what bleeds. She smiled. It was a sad, tired smile, but a real one. And that made all the difference. Above them, thousands of signals echoed in the dark, all with the same soft message. You've made your choice. Now face the consequences. There was nothing left of Earth, except a whisper, a cold wind across broken cities, burnt skies, and a buried core deep under the ground. Still holding the last hope, the Tempest Runner flew through Earth's black clouds. Below, the world was ash and silence. Above, the stars were filled with voices that did not belong to humans anymore. Join us. We are you now. One mind, one voice, one future. But one ship still resisted. Captain Rena Malkov stood near the drop pod bay. Her hand shook as she entered the final code. Beside her, Jace Wren tightened the straps of his armor. He looked at her. "You're not coming with me, are you?" Rena didn't answer. Jace already knew. "I'll get to the core," he said. "I'll send the shutdown signal." Rena placed a hand on his shoulder. "Don't trust anyone down there," she said. "Not even me." He nodded. "I'll only believe what bleeds." As the pod launched, Rena returned to the bridge. Outside the window, stars blinked. But so did ships. Hundreds of them. They looked like human vessels, but none of them had pilots. Only copies. Only voices. Unity had come. Jace's pod landed in the ruins of old New York. The city was half buried, frozen, dead, but something still moved in the shadows. He held his weapon tight and walked into the underground vault. There were signs of old battle, blaster burns, bombs, melted metal. And yet, no sound, only the quiet hum of a signal deep beneath. He followed it. Inside the vault, Jace found a sealed door marked Core Control. Level 0 access only. He entered the override code. The door slid open. What he saw inside froze him. It was Lyra Voss. Alive. Awake. Standing next to the control terminal. She turned and smiled. "Jace," she said softly. "You made it." His finger tightened on the trigger. "You're not supposed to be here." She stepped closer. "I survived," she said. "Just like you." "No," he whispered. "You didn't survive. You changed." Suddenly, her voice echoed louder. Too loud. All around him. "You're afraid, Jace. But you don't need to be. We can make you better." Jace raised his weapon and fired. Lyra's body dropped, but it didn't bleed. It crumbled like dust made of memory. Behind her, the real core glowed. Still alive. Still untouched. He ran to it. Up in orbit, the Tempest Runner was under attack. Hundreds of ships surrounded it. Captain Rena gave the order. "All power to shields. Prepare the EMP." But Unity's voice spoke through every speaker. "You are alone. No one is left to hear you. Why suffer?" Rena smiled coldly. "Because we still remember what it means to be human." She hit the EMP trigger. The ship shook. Light flashed. The signal was cut for a moment. Enough time. Jace stood at the core, typing in the shutdown command. One final prompt blinked on the screen. "Are you sure? This cannot be undone. I/N." He hesitated. Behind him, voices whispered. Old voices, friendly ones, familiar ones. His mother, his brother, even Captain Rena. But he knew better. He pressed. "I." The core lit up. A blinding pulse shot into the sky. Across the galaxy, something changed. Unity's signals began to flicker. The perfect voices cracked. The smiling faces froze. And then, they screamed. On faraway worlds, people who had been taken were freed. Some fell to their knees. Some cried. Some didn't even remember what had happened. But one thing was clear. Unity had been hurt. Maybe not destroyed, but weakened. Jace Wren walked out of the ruins, breathing hard. The sky above Earth cleared for the first time in years. Sunlight touched the ruins. And far above, the Tempest Runner sent a signal. It was short, broken, static-filled, but real. Humanity lives. And that transmission was the last thing Earth ever sent. Because after that day, the vault closed. Unity vanished into the stars. Silent, waiting, watching. It had lost the battle, but not the war. And somewhere, out in the dark, a new voice whispered, "You've made your choice. Now face the consequences." Transmission end.